Survived for over a century is a feat few men or works have accomplished. The slippery sands of time bury most. But with thousands of years of directly recorded history, we have amassed ourselves a share of truly enduring works, even some that were once damned to oblivion. Nosferatu, as of recording this, 103 years old, released when the friggin' Ottoman Empire still stood, albeit shakily. A film ordered to be destroyed for being too clearly themed around Dracula has persisted and inspired works that have inspired art, that have inspired creation. The film has been discussed, debated, contested dozens of times over by thousands of critics and commoners. Why and how it is endured is a tale in of itself, but not the one I intend to tell. Not today. What I want to talk about is why it stands tall as a work not just to experience for its importance, but for its own merits. Even if it wasn't an icon and only existed as an obscure German film, it would still be worth remembrance. They say the past is a foreign country. Well, so is Germany. So now I've got a duology of foreign countries. In actual seriousness, the film is dated in many ways. The overly expressive acting, the lack of synchronized sound, or even much color. It's a film made using the techniques that led to the methods that led to the styles of today. But this is not to the film's detriment. No. It's part of what makes it so worth remembering. A movie from an era where films were considered literally disposable, often destroyed after leaving theaters. A movie that once had only, I believe, 3 extant copies, and now is one of the best remembered and most frequently discussed silent films. It's a portal into the earliest days of mass access to filming technology. A work that gives understanding of the art and ideas that were in the minds and hearts of those now long dead. But these gains aren't wholly unique to Nosferatu. You could watch The Ten Commandments or Metropolis and get similar. Nosferatu is more unique as the big name in German expressionist horror and the earliest adaptation of Dracula. For the latter, it contains a great host of similarities to the novel. A real estate agent journeys to a strange count's castle, finds him somehow wholly unaccompanied in his massive estate, and is preyed upon by the monstrous proprietor. He escapes, but the evil haunts him and his home, and violates his wife before destruction. But it differs in many ways. Numerous characters are wholly absent, the ending is utterly different, even the vampire's abilities and weaknesses are changed. You don't feel like you're watching Dracula, you feel like you're watching Nosferatu. It's almost comical that the courts ever said it was too close to an adaptation to qualify as, well, the old version of what we might today call fair use. The film's distance from our modern styles, cultures, and abilities can distract at times, and being a work of German expressionist horror, it takes the already comparatively exaggerated movements derived from plays and utilized in silent films and maximizes it. Subtle movements aren't gone, but they aren't exactly emphasized. However, this does not mean that everything is bombastic and overdone. There are still moments where quiet reigns, stillness presides, and you can fully appreciate the depths of Count Orlok's evils. The film understands itself as a visual experience, with camera work, blocking, and framing that makes Orlok, and even his mere proximity, feel like a truly overwhelming, overshadowing evil. When the plague he has wrought destroys a town, when casket after casket is hauled away, and the ministers condemn another infected home, we see it as if we are looking down on the little lives of the little mourners, so small and fragile compared to the ancient vampire. When Orlok stands tall in the doorway, desperate hunger and total confidence in his eyes, Hutter is reduced to a childlike state, hiding under his sheets to at least not see the monster draw near. When the Count's shadow slowly rises up the stairs, while the damned know full well he is near, coming to claim his prized prey, he feels like a giant, utterly drowning out all life and all else in the home he intrudes upon when he kneels over his prone meal, wholly forgetting himself in his perverted pleasure, at last on the same level as those who he toyed with. It shows how little his stature truly was in the end. After all, he is still a creature of biology, and must eat and sleep and die like the rest of us. These striking visuals are among the strongest in cinema. To experience them unaided by context is intimidating enough. but their true depths will only show themselves when you see them accompanied by the macabre tale they reside in. The film feels as old as it is. A great deal of it makes me think of how people initially interacted with this strange new thing called filmmaking, but also holds so much that still resonates so deeply. Plagues coming and going so easily with little explanation for those who have suffered its violence. Killers choosing undeserving targets who did nothing more than simply exist too near such a sinner. The traumatized trying to forget their suffering, leaving a hole in their story they've no intention of ever filling. It is a strange comfort to see these ideas reflected by what are now all ghosts. Dead spirits that know our same pains and yearnings, all told through the reign of such a terrible beast. Nosferatu will only continue to sound older, and its undying song will only grow louder.